Hi guys, it's me Quinn, and as always, if you appreciate my content, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. So Denis Villeneuve has given a little bit of information about what he's going to be working on after Dune. So there's been speculation as to whether or not he would continue into the further Dune books, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, maybe God Emperor of Dune. And from what Denis Villeneuve has said, he might have interest in doing Dune Messiah, but after that, I don't really think Denis Villeneuve is interested in continuing to work on Dune movies. So he has come out and said that what he hopes to do next after Dune is Arthur C. Clarke's classic Rendezvous with Rama. So Rendezvous with Rama is kind of honestly a standalone book, even though there is a series of 4 books. The first one is a bit different from the rest of them, and I don't really know if Denis Villeneuve has any interest in actually doing the series. I think that probably he'll stick with just doing the first one, and I'll tell you why. So basically the essential gist of Rendezvous with Rama, it takes place about 100 years in our future from right now, like 2130, I believe, or something like that. And there's been no discovery of alien life at this point. There's been no contact with aliens. And there is like this kind of system set up around the solar system to protect against asteroids. So eventually they do detect something and they realize that it's not an asteroid, it's an alien spaceship. And so they send these guys out to check it out, and it's super weird. There's like these weird half biological, half mechanic organisms that live on it that are like the drones. I don't want to give away the story, but it's a cool mystery. And the rest of the books expand on this a lot more. They start off 7 years later, and they expand on the human encounters with the aliens who eventually become known as the Ramans, named after the Hindu god Rama. So that's the gist of what goes on with the series. I'm pretty sure Denis Villeneuve is probably just going to stick with the first book because it is a standalone story. That's super exciting. I can tell that Denis Villeneuve is a big fan of classic science fiction. His treatment of Dune was incredible, and I feel like a lot less people have heard of this one. So it'll be interesting to get more eyes on Arthur C. Clarke. Arthur C. Clarke is, of course, a classic science fiction writer, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Childhood's End, so a lot of classics under his belt. I'm always excited to get another Denis Villeneuve movie because Denis Villeneuve is just one of the greatest science fiction directors that's ever walked on this planet, and he's such a treasure, and I hope he just continues to do science fiction. It really seems to be what he loves to do. I mean, Arrival was one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. Dune was probably the best science fiction movie of the past 20 years. It's just like hit after hit with him. Blade Runner 2049. He just seems to really, really kill it with these sci-fi stories. And this is an interesting one. This is going to be an interesting one to see him do because it's kind of a smaller story when compared to Blade Runner or Dune, kind of akin to Arrival. And honestly, now thinking about that, I can see why he chose to do this one, because this one does have a few of the echoes of Arrival in it, where it's like you have humans going to meet up with these aliens and they don't know what they're going to find on the ship. So that's kind of similar, actually. Anyway, looking forward to it. I'm so glad that Denis Villeneuve is going to keep making stuff in Hollywood, hopefully for decades and decades to come. So if you're wondering why my library looks like this, it's stacked up with books. It's the same reason that I haven't really been making a lot of videos over the last couple of weeks. It's because I have a book, Tadia. Now, this is not an ad for the book. You like literally can't even get it right now. Like, so you can't get it. It won't be available for people that weren't a part of the initial campaign until like after the beginning of next year. So this is not an ad. But I did just want to give you guys some idea as to why I've been away for a few weeks and why I'm probably gonna not be as present on YouTube in these upcoming weeks. It's because we are shipping all of these books ourselves. We've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of copies. We've pre-sold a bunch of copies and we've got to ship it all ourselves. And that's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to take a few weeks to do it. And so I won't be making as many videos during that time. Honestly, the process of making a graphic novel is the most difficult thing that I've ever had to go through. It's incredibly rewarding, but it's the most difficult thing that I've had to do ever. If I had just decided to write a book, I could have had like 2 or 3 books out by now. We've been working on this for 2.5 years. There's so much that goes into a graphic novel that just doesn't go into just writing a book. This was really the first time in my life that I had to coordinate with all these different people. Like, I had to be talking to my letterers. I had to constantly talk to my artists about what needed to be depicted in the book. I had to have conversations with the colorists about like the colors of things, and it was just a very like tedious and long process. Yeah, so they decided to mow their lawn in the middle of this Just wait for them to... I thought they were done. But they started again. Anyway, it's a very tedious and long process, but fulfilling, but difficult for someone like me who's never done it before. I had to fire somebody this year for the first time ever. I've never had to fire somebody, and that wasn't easy. And also the interesting thing with writing a graphic novel, or really just like writing or publishing anything, is that like there's so many things that people do not tell you. Like the first thing that people don't tell you, that I'm just going to tell you now, if you write something, don't expect your friends to read it, because I gave this book to so many people, like, hey, will you read this for me? Read this for me. Almost none of them did. So people say they're going to read it. They don't. They don't read it. People don't read your scripts. Another thing is that's kind of sad is that when you're like making something and it's, I guess, successful, people get super weird about it. People that you consider to be your friends like respond in such weirdly jealous ways. And, that's been honestly the worst thing about having to do this, is that like there's a certain person that's just been so jealous of this project the entire time, and it's just gotten really frustrating. Anytime I like had to bring it up about anything, it's just like got extremely toxic. And I guess that's like the dark side of like having any form of success, that there are certain people that if they're not reaching the same level of success that they feel like they should have reached, then they put you down, and then they go on talking about their own story that they haven't written because they just can't hear you say anything about the thing that you actually made. But regardless, I am so proud of the work that my artist and I have done on this book, Tadia. Like I said, it's not available to order right now, so there's nowhere where you can go and try and order it right now, but next year if you want. So out of all the covers on this book, I say I really love this one, because this is Matthew Weldon's cover, and Matthew Weldon did all of the internal art for the book, and he really, really sat with the story before he did this cover. Because if you look at this cover, it's in the daylight, everything's out in the open, you have Tadia, innocent, but then there's this look in her eye that's just a hint of wisdom. And then, on the back, the other side of the tree, it's night, and you've got all the different things that are actually going on behind the scenes. So I'm just really happy for people to finally read my story. I've always wanted to tell a creepy little tale about witches. Here it is. Thanks guys so much for watching.